I'm Travis Walsh, and the views I'm about to express are my own. You know, I really don't understand what's going on when it comes to these days when it comes to sports. Obviously, you're talking about, the normal ones, your basketball, baseball, hockey, we all talk about that. But now here it is now where they're coming out with some stupid things that they want to call sports. Combat sports throughout the history of mankind has been around since the days of the cavemen, really. I'm talking about styles of wrestling, jiu-jitsu, karate, boxing, you name it. All of them are highly intelligent, highly trained, real out of sports. And there's been some new sports coming out recently that's quite frankly has made people think, should this really be a sport? Because when I was a kid, playing tag was actually just a common pastime for us kids because we were bored. Nowadays, they want to make it into a prime time, well regulated sport. I mean, they want to combine tag with parkour. And quite frankly, I think that's cool. I think that's okay. There's a lot of athletes out there that definitely need something to trigger their own type of sport. Find out a way that they can make money with the way they do best. But quite frankly, this new power slap thing that's been going on has been really, really getting on my nerves. Everybody used to look down on MMA, and everybody's saying, oh, well, this is the new MMA. People are going to look down on it no matter what. There's going to be some fans. No, MMA, totally different than this. Literally, how stupid do you got to be to stand at literally one of those arm wrestling bench things, put your arms behind your back, and then hold off and wait for some guy who's possibly 6'6", 310 pounds, take this big mitt of a black bear paw, and then uphand and then smack you in the face as hard as you can. Hopefully, you don't get knocked out or suffer any serious brain damage as because of it. Because quite frankly, I think these guys got brain damage enough as it is going into something like this. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's dangerous. I think it's absolutely not fit for TV. I think it's absolutely wrong. And Dana White, quite frankly, I think you're an idiot for even thinking about trying to do this. You're supposed, after all those years you spent trying to make mixed martial arts, and UFC, the premier sport and the premier MMA organization in the world, like the NHL, like the NHL for hockey, like the NFL for football, like the WWE for wrestling, and now UFC for MMA, because you breed out Pride, which was probably the biggest, and quite frankly, to this day, I still think was a better MMA promotion than yours. But the fact of the matter is, when you wanted to go on to a full-on new venture, a new kind of combat sport, you decided to come up with slapping people in the face. Everybody that's been going on. I mean, we all know we're talking about concussions. Concussions, I mean, now boxing, that's one thing. But here's the thing. When boxers are fighting each other and MMA fighters are fighting each other, Taekwondo, whatever kind of combat sport, they're defending themselves. You are literally asking somebody to put their hands behind their back and then haul off and smack you as hard as you can. Quite frankly, I'm sure there's been a lot of people back in the days in Newfoundland that probably would have tried that. But do you know what it was called back then? It was called disciplining your kids. Oh, boy. And now here it is. Now they're trying to make it. I mean, every single doctor in the world has been saying now this could lead to possible severe neck trauma, could possibly lead to concussions and MRT. I mean, we all know, I mean, pretty much what they're doing is literally a slap is not a punch. I will admit that. But a slap in the right spot. I mean, people have literally been knocked out. I've seen the videos of this, and quite frankly, it's probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen ever to come out of the world of combat sports. A lot of people have been crapping on bare knuckle boxing that's been going on now. I mean, obviously, we're going back into the days now where we're going into the new style of bare knuckle boxing, where the last time bare knuckle boxing was allowed anywhere was back in the 1800s back in the late 1800s, back when the Irish and the British were bare knuckle boxing each other. But once again, this is a highly regulated sport that actually has licenses and actually has people defending themselves in a boxing way. This is just lunacy. This is not a combat sport. Here's an idea. Why don't you make MMA power slap? Oh, well, actually, they did do that, and it was actually called pancrase. You couldn't close fists, hit each other. You had to slap each other. But quite frankly, I think this is absolutely ridiculous. I think it needs to be stopped. And quite frankly, before somebody gets hurt or killed or suffers or is going to, in his later years, suffer from Alzheimer's because his brain was literally turned to mush by some guy who's got a hand on him the size of a grizzly bear paw hitting you as hard as he can. For what? For a belt? And knowing Dana White, he'll probably pay these guys just about the same amount of money, if not less, than he's doing the UFC guys, which is at the end of the day is zero, while Dana White pockets all the profits. So quite frankly, Dana White, you slapped your wife and your wife slapped you. But as far as I'm concerned, she either slapped you too hard, knocked the sense out of you, or didn't slap you hard enough to knock some sense into you. I'm Travis Walsh, and that's my opinion.